The most critical system that determines whether or not your child, and as an extension, your family, is healthy or not, is the central nervous system. And we're just going to call it the nervous system for short today. There are three different divisions: the sensory division, the autonomic division, and the motor division. Together, they work together to integrate every single internal bodily function, every movement, and every thought, emotion, behavior, and cognitive function. And it's kind of like an air traffic control system. It makes sure everything's working the way it should. So while we may use a couple more technical terms this video, and we're going to get a little nerdy with stuff, bear with me. If you have questions, please shoot them my way and ask. If you want me to clarify things, I'll film a new video for you. Now, not long ago, I was sitting across from a mom going through the report of her child's INSiGHT scans. She sat back, she looked at me, and she said, "I can't believe that the last 3 years of struggle with focus and attention struggles that my child and myself have been going through can be so easily summed up in a picture that I probably could have drawn myself." And I thought about that for a second. And when we look at the parts of the nervous system and the parts of the body, and we know where there's good regulation and where regulation could be improved, it really made sense to this mom. And while this was just something that happened last week, this is something that happens on a weekly basis as we're talking through reports and going through INSiGHT scans with moms of kids who have tried everything. Now, we like to chalk this up to that mom gut, that dad gut, but really that intuitive nature of how you feel about your child matters. And it's a big deal, and it tells us a lot. And it's extremely important in helping us to find and adjust the root cause. Now, it's a very often experience where I will meet with a parent for the first time, and they've seen a slew of different doctors. They've had a bunch of different tests done. And first off, the tests have never really been explained to them. All they've been explained is that there's something wrong. You gotta do this. And listening to their mom or dad gut, they're not accepting that. They know that there's something more. There is more that they want to do, they want to learn, and they want answers. They don't just want to be told. So I get when we're talking about things like adding technology and neurology to the picture, it can be downright overwhelming. But that's kind of the beauty and the practicality of our INSiGHT scanning system. When we break it down to the building blocks, it is relatively simple to understand and it's visually easy to see. So today we're going to talk about how the INSiGHT system can give a deeper view into what's going on in your child's or your mom and dad's nervous system, and how that can be used to help you through many of the health challenges that you may or may not be experiencing today. So if you're not just looking for some alternative to be a pain in your pediatrician's butt, but if you're actually looking for the root cause of what's going on with your child's struggles and their symptoms, you found me. We're here. While traditional medicine looks primarily at symptoms from the outside in, and is always looking for pathology or a disease or a problem in terms of how do we describe or diagnose a condition using things like lab tests, MRIs, EEGs, EKGs, RODIs, Oates forms, all sorts of different things that you can use to measure how bad something's doing. We use an incredible piece of technology called the INSiGHT system that accurately assesses the health and the function of the central nervous system, looking from that working on the inside outward approach. So why the emphasis on the central nervous system? Well, the central nervous system is kind of like the air traffic control tower for the entire human body. And not only the human body, but the human experience. Bruce Lipton says it best: the function of the nervous system is to perceive the environment and coordinate the function of all of the other cells. Now, to me, that's kind of a big deal. For every single experience where a doctor tells a mom, that's normal, don't worry about it, they'll grow out of it, I have just as many coming in to see me to get a different look, finding the root cause of what's going on with their child, to say, hey, there is something here. It's not going to go away on its own. I don't want it to grow out of this and into the next thing. Because as we look at the way that development happens, if we're not on the right track, sure, they may grow out of the colic, they may grow out of the reflux, but then they grow into motor challenges or sensory challenges, and it becomes one thing traded for another, because this underlying nervous system just isn't doing the job that it needs to. It's fighting as hard as it can, but it's just stuck. And this is how we look at a stuck nervous system to develop a plan to take care of it, to make some action, to make stuff happen. And it starts from the beginning. While traditional medicine is going to focus on symptoms and the obvious pathology or diagnoses that are associated with a collection of symptoms to label your child, we're looking at function. We're going to use our INSiGHT scans to assess the health and the function of your child's nervous system. We're looking at their health through a different lens that looks at the root cause of symptoms and struggles. Now, these scans are a deep, intricate look at the central nervous system, that CNS. This includes the brain, the spinal cord, and all of those information superhighways that carry messages from the brain to the cells of the body and back to the brain. Now, this is going to be important when we're talking about bodily function, movement, thought, emotion, behaviors, and cognitive functions. An extremely important extension of this central nervous system is one of those branches, that autonomic nervous system, and that's going to control key health building functions. Things like eating, sleeping, pooping, and moving. And so if your child is having struggles in those regulatory staples of growth, eating, sleeping, or pooping, then there's a good chance that their autonomic system is all out of whack. And this is what we measure, and this is what we help. Additionally, that nervous system has sensory branches and motor nerves that combine all of these systems together, and they communicate between the brain and the body. Your child's nervous system is truly the master control of their entire system, their entire body, everything. Our INSiGHT scans are about finding, tracking, and understanding if the subluxation and the dysautonomia, or the communication between that master control, the brain, the central nervous system, and the rest of the body, if it's present, if it's doing its job, or if it needs some help. And if there's a problem, there are things that we need to figure out. We've got to find how significant or how severe are things. Are they mild, moderate, severe, or are we talking about an intensive case? The other important part is where. What's the address? Where is this part of the system not functioning to the fullest extent that it should be? Where is the primary issue? When we have too much tension and stress stuck in specific areas of the nervous system, in that neurospinal system, it helps us to better understand where the connection to certain symptoms are and what conditions are present and why. Why? Now, there are 3 different types of scans we use in our INSiGHT system to assess the central nervous system, and also the stress coming in from the environment and how well we can handle it. So let's talk about these. Our first 2 are what we call our neurothermal scans, and these are going to help assess the effects of subluxation and dysautonomia on the digestive system, the immune system, hormones, and more. It looks at the autonomic or automatic functions of the body and how well these systems, organs, and glands are communicating neurologically with the brain. I kind of talk about this as like the address. What is the area of the major part of the strain in the system? And then how can we quantify it? Our second one, our neurospinal EMG or electromyography scan. Now, these are crucial in investigating things like autism, ADHD, and anxiety, which are rooted in neuromuscular and neuromotor system challenges. This scan looks at the energy that comes from the body and travels upward to the brain, specifically to the cerebellum, the brain's motor center. Now, we know that too much energy or unorganized, confused energy in the body can directly overwhelm these motor centers, triggering a fight or flight response in the brain's other processing zones. So as we're looking at this guy here, we see a bunch of different lines. We see yellow, white, green, blue, red, and a bit of a Coke bottle shape, signifying what the normal distribution pattern of a human should look like. Well, on this one here, we see a squiggly black line too, and our patient is that squiggly black line. The biggest thing we can talk about here is the level of disorganization. And when we have disorganization is going to breed dysfunction. Our last scan to round out the 3 is our HRV scan, and these provide a broader picture of neurological health and adaptability. These indicate if the autonomic nervous system is healthy or if it's stressed. It shows the momentum we have, and it can give us insight into how long the nervous system has been struggling and how efficient it is in movement. Now, those 2 things are key with kids as they have a tough time communicating about their health, their feelings, and their challenges. So essentially what we have this wonderful red, lighter red, yellow, and green chart. And I mean, obviously, green means go, green means good. But this also gives us a good representation to tell whether or not a child is stuck in that sympathetic, stress stuck on go, go, go mode, or if their parasympathetic system is just not doing the job that it needs to, if it's not up to snuff, if the eat, sleep, poop system is not working. We can tell visually, very straightforward, based on where this child is falling on this chart. And then if you look top to bottom, we essentially get a report card. Is our system 100% efficient, or is it only 60% efficient, like in this example here? I want you to think for a second. Think of that neurospinal system as the fuse box in your home. Well, this is a simple way to look at it, and our neurospinal system is actually much more complex than a simple fuse box on a wall. It kind of makes sense. At its core, many of our sensory and motor nerves function like circuits in a house. That's why, if you look at the poster over my shoulder right here, we use our neurofuse box poster as a visual aid in the office. And if you want a little bit better view, this is what it looks like. We use this chart to better track and locate where and what kind of trouble the subluxation and dysautonomia may be causing. So again, we're looking from the inside out, looking at the root cause, and not only focusing on eliminating a symptom. So while in the office, we will go through each of these scans individually with you and your kiddos. The important part is putting it all together, because no one scan tells the full story of a situation. It's just like one specific test is not going to label your child with a diagnosis for the rest of their lives that they will never be able to escape from. Anybody that tells you that is just like the Wicked Witch of the West. I don't know. But it's important to get an overall picture on what's going on with your child's nervous system and overall their health as a whole. These INSiGHT scans that we use do exactly what their namesake tells us. They give us an insight. They give us an understanding on the most crucial part of your child's health, their nervous system. And it's something that there's not a lot of other practitioners that are doing. That nervous system, it's like their internal mom. Mom, I know you do a lot. You keep things on track. If you could just take yourself, shrink down, and insert yourself into your child's brain to keep everything on track and going, hey, maybe that will work really well. We haven't quite figured that out yet. It's like some Ant-Man stuff. I don't know. It's a little weird. But essentially saying if we can help to get a good understanding of what's going on with this master system with your kiddos, we can help to make sure that system is working as intended, free of irritation, interference, subluxation, whatever you want to call it. Doesn't matter. Just a word. And when they're getting wound up and worn out at the same time, we know that it just doesn't have to be that way. Along with a detailed case history, we take our INSiGHT scans and we can put it together to get a fully detailed understanding of what's going on internally with your child. From here, we can build out a customized care plan to fit their needs. Not everyone's needs, their needs specifically. And with every restoration or when they transition into wellness adjustment, you can see the stress physically just fall off of them. They're shedding it, the calm and the relaxation is coming back, and their healing capacity is jacked up and kicking in as it should be. So if you are as excited as I am talking about this stuff, please hit us up, throw us a message. We've got a ton of exciting stuff going on this month. And if you're curious on what the internal regulation of your child is doing and getting a good picture of their nervous system, come on by for an INSiGHT scan. I'm so excited to share this with you guys. Have a great day. I'll see you soon. Take care.